Tala Falava, and welcome to the Global Pasifika Success Podcast. I'm Andrew Fa'avali, your host. Every week I'll be chatting with successful Pacific people from across the globe, unpacking their stories and, more importantly, picking out insights, lessons and golden nuggets you can use to live your best life too. Welcome back to the Global Pasifika Success Podcast. This week we're at episode 15. And we're going back to the States to talk to Rob Poleki, an entrepreneur, a former elected officer of the state of Idaho, and Samoan who was raised in New Zealand, is now in the States, but spent a lot of time in Hawaii as well. So he's a guy who has global experience across Pacific, and we're really excited to have him on. So Rob, welcome, and thanks for joining on.
Yeah, Andrew, appreciate you having me on the show, man. It's good to hear some different accents than American accents. So yeah, man, it's good to be on the show. Thank you.
Hey man, if I slip into an American accent, man, I'm just trying not to be the guy right now. I'm trying to hold my accent straight, but you know, like how it is in the movies, we all of a sudden get an accent. But no, it's cool. Thanks. So you're in Idaho right now?
Yep.
But you were born in New Zealand, right?
Yeah, born in New Zealand. Middlemore Hospital, South Auckland, Manurewa. So that's where I was born and raised.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man, so born in Manurewa. When did you leave Auckland for the States?
Yeah. So my family decided to move to Hawaii in '93. I was 12 at the time. So, you know, half of my childhood grew up in New Zealand, and then the other half, you know, throughout high school was in Hawaii. So, you know, in Hawaii, they have a pidgin accent, right? I don't know if you know what a pidgin accent is, but, you know, when I went over, I had a pidgin New Zealand accent. Oh, it was horrible. None of the kids could understand me, so I had to get rid of the accent. But most of my family kept the accent. My brothers, my sisters, my mom and dad. So it feels like I'm adopted because I'm the youngest in the family, and everyone still has their New Zealand accents. But yeah, I was born in, you know, South Auckland, played rugby league when I was little, you know, man, went to the shops on the corner, eat the mince pies, man, miss that stuff.
Homai
Still
Bakery?
remember it well.
Was it Homai Bakery?
Homai, yeah, man. I lived on Arbor Close. I mean, I remember a little. I remember the, you know, Manurewa, the swimming pools. My family's, I went to St. Anne's Catholic Church, and my dad was one of the bigwigs at the church. And so, you know, we were a church family, had to go to church 3-4 times a week in Manurewa. But yeah, growing up in Manurewa, man, some tough times.
So you were all up one street, because St. Anne's is off Russell Road, Arbor Close is on Russell Road, Homai is on Russell Road, and so is the pools.
Yeah, that's right.
St. Anne's. So I know, and I was brought up in Manurewa, so obviously I know it. So what made you guys move over to Hawaii? How did they come up with this idea to go over to this island at the top of the north?
Yeah, my mom's family, my mom's the Stowers, their family, some of them were born in American Samoa, so they were able to go to Hawaii. And you know, we took a trip over in '91, and my grandma was living in Hawaii, and said, hey, it's time to come over, you know, to New Zealand. Back then, and you probably know as well, not much opportunity, you know, for people living there. My dad was working, you know, job to job. My mom was a stay-at-home mom. So it was a good opportunity for us to, you know, live the American dream. And that's what we're doing now. You know, I'm thankful for my parents for taking the leap and, you know, coming from Samoa to New Zealand to Hawaii to give me and my brothers and sisters a better life. So yeah, that was the transition. My grandma just said, hey, time to come over and you know, stop struggling in New Zealand.
So did you do high school in Hawaii and then college in Hawaii, or did you go over to the mainland?
Yeah, so you know, came over. I played rugby league when I was in Manurewa. So 13 years old, they put pads on me, and you know, I'm trying to learn this game of football. They're wanting me to play D-line, and I'm saying, no, give me the ball. I can run the ball. So it didn't really work out that way, because you know, I'm 6'3", about 315 right now, and at that point in high school, you're playing D-line, buddy. So yeah, so I had to learn the game of football, and you know, played all 4 years in high school, and then I was fortunate, you know, get a scholarship to come play up in Idaho, and then I moved up to Idaho by myself and went to college.
Oh, that's awesome, man. We had Coach Viliami, who's from Idaho, who went to Idaho as well. I think he was coaching there. Do you know him?
Yeah, yeah, I know William really well. Yeah,
Oh,
I knew him on LinkedIn. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So at Idaho, what did you study, man?
So I came to, man, at first I was lost, right? I go to college, and I'm the first one on my family to go to college. You know, no one knows anything about college. I haven't been prepped. I'm taking classes that, you know, just the easy classes. And I decided to major in social work, you know, give back to the community, right? I think all Polynesians, they always want to be in the social services field or the social work field. And so I went that route, and I was like, hey, you know, I'll go back to Hawaii and give back to the community. So I graduated in social work. And then after I graduated college, I played a little pro ball, and then I moved back to Hawaii and was a social worker there. And then I got burned out. I was like, you know, I've given a lot of, you know, 7 years, 8 years of being a social worker. I got burned out, and I was thinking, you know, there's something else for me, something else in this life that I can, you know, do other than, you know, take care of other people. So that's when I started this entrepreneurship journey.
I love it, man. If we can just park there for a little while on the burnout, because my wife and I actually, and our friends started a community organization named Mana Pasifika. And pretty much one of the biggest tasks for us is to try to educate our young people to be able to say no. And that, you know, they have to look after themselves before they can go out and give. And, you know, whether it's in church or whether it's in community, whether it's in their vocation, a lot of our people have this innate drive to give back to the community because we're collective, but sometimes it's at the detriment of ourselves. What do you reckon contributed to the burnout, and how did you become aware of the burnout for yourself? Because some people stay in this game for like 20, 30 years.
Yeah, yeah. I think you hit it right on the head. Polynesian people, we always want to serve. We always want to, you know, give back. We're a village, right? Everybody in the village has to take care of themselves. So I think that's why we lean towards those types of degrees, is because that's what we know. You know, when we grow up, the village takes care of the village, right? So, you know, 7, 8 years in the social work career, and I'm taking the work home. I used to work with homeless veterans, substance abuse and mental health issues. Some young guys too, you know, coming from Iraq, Afghanistan, and these guys had PTSD. You know, they would tell me some things that they went through in Iraq. And, you know, at 21 years old, seeing dead bodies and, you know, killing people, that's tough. And even though I didn't go through that kind of stuff, I kind of took that home with me. You know, I was always worried about these guys on the street overdosing. You know, they were taking all kinds of, you know, alcoholics. They're taking, you know, medication so that they can forget about what they did in Iraq. So I was taking that home with me. I was getting calls late at night. I was going out searching for guys, and, you know, my health started to deteriorate as well, my mental health. So I kind of found out when I wasn't interested in going back to work. There was a point where, you know, I just didn't want to go back to work. So I just started exploring in other things. And yeah, for me, it was, I kind of knew mentally I couldn't take it anymore. So I dropped, it's like, I'm done. I drop out, man. I quit. That's all I got.
Yeah, man, they call that vicarious trauma, eh? And they say that, you know, you take on the trauma that other people explain to you, and then your flame burns dim, and then it burns out. And, you know, you start off really passionate, and then you can't get up and go to work. Man, so what a big pivot then for going to, you know, a community sector kind of role, and then jumping into entrepreneurship. Did it go straight into entrepreneurship, or what was the transition out of community?
Yeah, I was always doing something on the side. I always had a side hustle. My parents, we moved from Hawaii with suitcases. That's all we had, suitcases of clothes. And so since then, my parents just had to hustle to try to pay for the bills, right? We moved into like the ghettos of Hawaii, subsidized housing. And, my dad was working long hours to get us out of there. And so we had to do things on the side to make money. My parents, like to this day, are still making T-shirts and, printing T-shirts in their garage, selling food. It's just in us to do it. Like, you can't sit down. You got to go do something, right? So I've always had it in me. And, when we were in Hawaii, I started in film. So I started to do film, film some commercials. We used to have a crew called the Water Life Crew. We used to film some sketches way back when in like early 2000s. But yeah, we started getting into that. We won some film competitions, won the Louis Vuitton Hawaii International Film Festival. We won the best short film there. So I was just trying to take, my mind away from social work and doing something else. So I've always had the side hustle in me. And, my wife is from Idaho. And one day she's like, I don't like living in Hawaii. I want to move back home. And I told my parents, and my parents are like, no, you're staying right here. They didn't want me to move, but, it was time. It was fair to move. My wife had lived 7-8 years in Hawaii. It's time to, move back to Idaho, take care of her parents and her, visit her family. So we moved back, and then we started a cleaning business. We started, it's just side ventures. And then I became an elected official in the state of Idaho. I think I'm jumping, I'm jumping ahead too much.
No, I see that you're an elected official, or you were. What does it mean in New Zealand terms? Does it mean you're in is it in council, or is it kind of like in the state government or federal government?
Yeah, it's kind of like state, county, city government, that type of work.
Yeah.
So here in the States, all those positions like a mayor, county commissioners, the sheriff, all those are elected. I think they are the same in New Zealand or Australia. But yeah, I was a state elected official.
So you had to do the campaigning. You had to have your mug up on the fences and all around.
Yeah.
Was that uncomfortable, man? Because I've seen it in New Zealand. There's a massive representation of elected officials in New Zealand, but it's still coming to pass here in Australia. But what was it like for you as a brown dude with your face there, vote Rob Poleki, and the tick next to it? What was that like, man?
My mom is like the center of attention at every party, right? She's like, goes after. So I had to take what I learned from her to get elected. It was tough at first. I wasn't that guy. I am now, but I wasn't the guy to walk up to somebody and start a conversation. But during the campaign, and I was running against someone that was really established in the community, and I just had to do it. If I wouldn't have won the election, then I would have been out of a job. I needed the job to support my family, so I kind of was it was a big risk. I put a lot of money into the campaign myself. There was a lot of people who backed me. I was on 3 billboards, this big brown face on the billboard. But I had to take on that role, and I kind of forced myself to do that. One, because I knew I could do the job. One, I knew the credentials of the job, and I was like, yeah, I could, definitely do this job. And 2, I had to support my family and just climb up the ladder. My career was, I was climbing up very slowly, and to become an elected official in the state, would be something big for me. So.
Man, I like that, and I just imagine, and I'm really proud of you. If I drove through Idaho and I saw your big billboard there, man, I think as a fellow Pacific Islander, I'll be really proud that you're up there. So it's not how you were back then, but now you've had to teach yourself. That kind of gives me hope, because I'm not really one to go to a party and start up a conversation. I'm really more that dude in the corner.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
what were the things that kind of transformed that approach to life, that you could just go up to people and introduce yourself? What are some tricks that we can use, man, these people who are still standing in the corner?
Yeah, yeah. So we don't look like some scary Samoan dudes standing in the corner and nobody wants to approach us, right?
I got that rattle in my head that, oh man, they're scared of me. They're scared of me. I want, but that's
Yeah.
my own rattle. That's probably not what they're thinking. That's what I'm telling myself.
Yeah. I think that because of our size, I'm like I said, 6'3". I'm a big guy, 300 plus pounds. They came to me, right? And especially because a lot of people now, they know Polynesian people. I think Polynesians have repped our culture so good that when white people see us, they're like, oh, I got to go up to this guy and ask him if he knows Junior from Salt Lake. They must be related, right? So, it wasn't like I was going up to, everyone and starting conversations. Because I was the biggest in the room, because I was the only brown guy in the room, they came to me. But, there were times where I had to go, knock on doors and introduce myself to people and try to get their vote. Plenty of speeches in front of hundreds of people. So I had to force myself to do it. And we have the personality, bro.
Yeah.
We have the personality to talk for days with people. I think we've been taught maybe to, hey, you go in the back and relax. Don't be the center. Don't be the front man. Maybe that was for me, when all the important people in our culture are sitting at the table, you go in the back. And maybe that's what we were taught. And that's what we do socially as well. But I had to just force myself. There's a little Polynesian community here in Idaho. And like you said, when they drove by the billboards, they were like proud. They're really proud to see that another Samoan. I wasn't the first. There was another elected official who kind of guided me as a mentor. Edgar Malipai. He's big in the state. Was elected in Idaho. Was the first Samoan to be elected, and I was the second. So coming out of our shell and just not being scared to talk to people. I mean, they're not. No one's gonna bite us, right?
That's the problem. I think that they think I'm going to bite them. But anyway, leaving, because one of the big things is how we live in village type of settings. You went back to Hawaii, right? And then you stayed with your family and you looked after them. Was it hard to pull out and go to Idaho?
Definitely hard. The way that Hawaii, that people in Hawaii live, everybody lives together. I forget how it works in New Zealand and Australia, but it's so expensive there that everybody just lives together, right? Everyone lives, the parents, the brothers and sisters, big house, and everybody lives together. So when I came to the States for college, I kind of learned, another way of life, another way of living, right? I was on my own, had my own apartment, had my own space, had to take care of myself. I was away. I was in Idaho. If you imagine Idaho, people think of potatoes and country. It's exactly that, right? So
you're not on the coast. You're landlocked.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm far away from everything I know, and I had to kind of learn, a different way of life. So when I moved back to Hawaii, living with my parents and going back to that lifestyle, I wasn't used to it anymore. I moved here when I was 18 and I moved back when I was probably 23, 24 years old. And I wasn't used to that. I wanted to be free. I didn't want to live like, be under my parents and still be ordered around by my parents. I was kind of like living the Palangi life, right? But it was definitely hard, especially my wife, bringing my wife over. She, she's white, and getting accustomed to the culture was tough for her, at first. But as she found out that, we all take care of each other, it's not just give, we get back, she started to love the culture. So it was tough breaking out that shell altogether with, talking to people, to living different lifestyles, to, you know, becoming an elected official. I mean, I had to break out of that shell. So
elected official, man, let's just stay here for a little while, and then I really want to jump into WASHIE because I'm amazed at the story. I've been watching it on LinkedIn. Massive fan of what you're doing, and I'm a massive fan of your personal branding too. But as an elected official, you obviously have to, you know, do public speaking. You have to go out and meet different people. What was that lifestyle like for you?
It was tough on my family. I was away a lot, and I had to prep myself to speak good English, right? The way that when I get into this role, I kind of change, right? I need to be more professional when I get into someone that people are looking for. They're looking for hope. They're looking for me to guide them. I had to change, you know, the way I talk, the way I, you know, just the way I did things. I used to be that guy, and on the last podcast I was on, I told them I used to be that guy wearing slippers, basketball shorts, the New York baseball cap, and the long white tee, and I had to change that because it didn't match, you know, that seat that I held. You know, I had to change the way I talk to people. And I had to change it too because of the career path that I was going through. In order for me to climb the ladder, to make more money, to be successful, you know, that change had to happen. So yeah, going out and prepping myself at night before I went, you know, to speak to a large group of people, going to different elected officials, and you know, it was tough. It was tough. It was definitely tough.
So preparing yourself and creating change because of the seat you held and the profile you had, how did that sit comfortably with you? And are you comfortable with that change? And with the need to like change the way you dress, etc.?
Yeah. You know, when I go home, I'm back to the basketball shorts. When I go home and I'm comfortable with my family, you know, I go back. But, you know, I think the change was good, especially for how we can level up in life, how we can live this American dream that my parents brought me here to live. If I didn't do that, then maybe I'd be, you know, working some other jobs that, you know, I wouldn't say blue collar, but hey, you know, if I didn't do that, I wouldn't level up. And my parents moved here for that, right? My parents wanted me to become a successful person, wanted me to advance in life more than you know they ever had. So, and I've seen things that my parents have never seen or ever dreamed of seeing. Even my brothers and sisters living this life, I've seen some things that now I see the light of how other successful people and financially, you know, free people live. So it's been a good change for me.
I understand where you're coming from. I like that it's been raised because sometimes we think that, you know, and I'm one of these dudes. I've always been in those clothes, you know, even for really formal functions, I'm still wearing like Vans. But I have been thinking about it as well. And I've been thinking about, it's not a sellout. It's just trying to progress. And I think sometimes we can get stuck in saying, oh, I'm going to keep it real. I'm going to be me. But yeah, like you say, the motivations of our parents to migrate and to move was for us to move as well. And it doesn't mean you're selling out. It means you're moving and you're progressing, you're advancing, and you're understanding that we live in a different system and being able to play that. So
bro, I understand exactly what you're talking about. You know, when I transitioned to become an elected official, a lot of the family and some friends kind of looked at me to saying, you know, oh, who's this guy? I think he is trying to be that person.
Mm.
because I wasn't that person back when I was younger. I wasn't, I was never even close to this kind of person. And something clicked, something clicked in me. There was some things that happened that made me say, hey, why am I wasting my life going out on the weekend and drinking, getting, hammered, wasting my life doing this kind of stuff? And I was younger, I was still in early 20s. If I would have figured that out earlier, then I would have been living the on the house on the hill and, that life already.
Mm-hmm.
But I've taken a late start, and, the people that kind of looked at me and said, oh, he's not going to make it as an elected official, he's not going to win, were some close people to me. It kind of hurt. I found out through the grapevine, oh, these people are talking. And I think a lot of Polynesian people go through that because they don't see themselves in those positions or accomplishing those things. And at that point, I say, you know what? This isn't for them. This is for me and my family.
That's awesome.
This is for me and my wife and my 3 kids at the time, for me to get a better life, and then for me to take care of my parents eventually. So me not taking these, if I would have seen these guys, talking about me and saying, oh, I'm not going to do it, then my parents' hard work would have been thrown away, right? So I kind of look at it that way, and really, I'm like, I don't care what you guys say. I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm gonna, I'm going to the top no matter what. And when I make it to the top, you guys are gonna say, hey, I know that dude. That's my mentality.
Kill them with kindness and then kill them with success, right?
That's right, man. Because they will. They're gonna be the ones that, and this is for all Polynesian people that are listening. The ones that would say something, now, are the ones that will say something later, and that would say, I know that guy, oh, that guy's my best friend, or whatever that is, It's funny the way it works, and I don't blame them. I'm not mad at them. It's just the mentality, but I got to do my own thing,
But I like how you rose above it, because can you imagine how many people have actually been lidded or stayed within their lid because of the stuff that close people have said? It's crazy. So love that you're showing the way and that you're saying, oh man, don't care about the haters, I'm off. So elected official, man, why'd you stop that? And what was this? This is a real massive pivot from going elected official in your state to entrepreneur and WASHIE, which is around toilet seats and chemicals and you know what I mean? So how did that transition come about?
Yeah, man, I always start off with this line, and it was my Shark Tank line, going from politics to the restroom industry, same crappy business, right? And it kind of is, man. Politics, man, the stress of politics and the backstabbing, the snakes that are in even small time politics is alive and kicking. But I was in office. I was appointed in 2013, and then I was elected in my first term in 2015. And then throughout that time, sitting at my desk one day, and I was stressed. I had a lot of responsibility. 60 plus employees. I ran a $67 million budget, 7 large departments. My name was on everything. The court systems I ran, elections I ran. I just had a lot of responsibility. So yeah, going from social work and then going into this, I mean, what was I thinking, right? But I was sitting at my desk one day, and I was going down the list of ideas, the tons and tons of pages of ideas I have, and I was like, I need to do something else. This isn't going to make me rich, right? It's good money, and I could stay here for the next 20 years and retire and be 60 and go retire, but I don't want that. I need to be like wealthy and successful right now. So in 2015. I went down the list, and I had this toilet seat idea. And the idea came from my son was 4 at the time. We were in an airport, and he's doing the potty dance, so we run and wait in line. We're at the Salt Lake City airport, and a stall opens up, and he goes in, and there's, the seat is disgusting, right? So I wiped down the seat and I put a toilet paper cover on the seat, and he's like, "Nah, I'm not sitting on that." So I grabbed some paper towels and some soap, and I wiped down the seat for him and I cleaned off the seat, and he sits down and takes care of business. And so I had written this idea down in my notes, and I was like, I've never seen this done. So you know what? I've never been in a toilet seat company. I'm just gonna go figure out how to do this. This is the $1 billion idea. I think I can make this happen, right? So contact the patent attorney, and we sit down, and he says, this is what you got to do. Go look for, these patents. We'll put together a package. So I did a bunch of reading, and filed for a patent. So I was all of a sudden I was in the toilet seat business. And I just decided to leap, and take a risk. I was used to taking risks at that point, going for elected office, doing all kinds of projects here and there for businesses. So I was like, you know what, let's just try this one. And it's gone really well. I was issued a patent in 2018, and I almost made the show Shark Tank. Oh. Do they show Shark Tank in Australia?
Yeah, we had it, man. It was one of my favorite shows, but this season they haven't brought it back. I think our TV networks are a little bit broke.
Yeah. Yeah, so I drove from Idaho to Vegas to the biggest tech show in the States. It's called CES. And in the middle of CES, they have the Shark Tank auditions. And it's in the Venetian Hotel. And there's like thousands of people looking at technology while in the casino. And so I decided to go drive down there with a toilet bowl and my first prototype, a toilet seat. And here I am pushing on a cart, a toilet bowl and toilet seat in the middle of the casino, right? And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm embarrassed and everything, right? I'm like, I gotta go do it, right? I've spent some money, I gotta go do this. So, the thought was that, I was gonna be embarrassed and ashamed of me pushing in a toilet bowl, but the response was, dude, what is that? Yo, what are you doing? What is that, right? I got all the attention rather than me being embarrassed and people saying, just like how we feel, oh, they're not gonna want to come up to me, they're gonna look at me like this, right? I got the opposite effect where they were coming up to me and touching, a huge crowd. And I pitched that day to the producers, and they're like, "Yep, let's go. You're on to the next step." And it was about 1,700 people that day that pitched, and it was about 22 of us that made it. So I got lucky, man. I was in, it was my first prototype, and I went and pitched, and I went, we were about to film. I was 2 weeks away from filming, and they had asked me, Rob, you can't be an elected official and go on a network, and be on our show. So you have to choose, either come on Shark Tank or stay at your job. So at that point, I chose to quit my job. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to risk it again. Quit my job, and I'm going to make it on Shark Tank. Like, if I make it on Shark Tank, I was thinking, I'm an instant millionaire. This is going to go well for me. And a few weeks later, they cut me. They had cut me. I was getting ready for my pitch. They were buying my set, and they cut me, and they took someone else, and they said, "Sorry, Rob, this is reality TV. This happens all the time." And I said, "I just quit my job," and I was depressed. Oh man, they cut me. I quit my job. I had a toilet seat and a patent. And for the next month, I was, everybody knew that I was going on Shark Tank. It was in the newspaper, all over the U.S. People, elected official quits job to make it on Shark Tank with toilet seat. In the papers, I was getting tons of publicity from it. Yeah, and I got cut. That's that was the first punch in the gut for me.
Yeah. So how did you deal with that? That's what is that, man? That's just mean. They just get reality TV, but that's not how to treat humans. You quit your job, a high-profile job, man. What is that?
Yeah, that's and they kind of were like, see you later. Didn't really care. they're like, you know, they apologized and they said, sorry, we have a company that has better financials than you. They're, you know, far in their company, like 3 or 4 years into their company. They're bringing in revenue. At that point, I just had an idea, a prototype, a patent. You know, I hadn't sold anything, and they just let me go. Like, just kicked me to the curb, man. I was feeling it, man. But you know, from that, and I tell this, I'm like, now I am so glad that I did not go on that show, because they would have took 80-90% of the company, and I probably would have said yes, just because I was on TV. And now that I've learned, you know, what I've learned now, I don't, you know, they called me 2 months ago and were like, yeah, you know, we're going to get ready to film, and then they dropped me again. So now that I've, you know, what I've learned, I would never even give them, you know, 20 or 30% of the company, because I know how much it is worth. So things happen for a reason, you know. Those punches in the gut, that especially that first punch in the gut that I was hoping, you know, for this big dream to happen, and it didn't happen, you know, prepared me for all the bumps in the road that I've been going through on this journey.
Yeah, because you dodged the bullet, really, because you hadn't had any validation in the market, you hadn't sold any products, so then they would have valued you low, and then asked for heaps of equity. And so, and now you're here, you're at a higher valuation, you're still in the game, you're making sales, and you know, now the power and balance is on your side. So
yeah, even if I went on the show, like if I made it, I probably would just go for publicity and not even make a deal. But I mean, if it was the right deal, I would. But you know, at this point, I really don't need them. So,
yeah. So where's the business at, man? Can we get a little bit of detail about where the business is at and how sales are going?
Yeah. So we actually launched our company in September. Our toilet seats will come out in September, but we had to pivot. There were some delays in China. Our manufacturing is done in China. I mean, all manufacturing is done in China. I made a trip over in January of 2019, my first trip to China. Went and saw the whole deal, man. It was one of the best trips of my life. Opened my eyes to what you can do and what you can accomplish through products and manufacturing. Any idea that you can have, they can make it, right? You just have to execute on that idea. So there was some delays in manufacturing for us for our toilet seat, and that's our feature product. So we had to transition into our sanitizer, and also a toilet seat spray that's coming out for places that don't have a WASHIE, and you know, women want to spray down the seat to make sure that it's clean. So sales have been going really well for our sanitizer. We didn't go the traditional route of using Facebook and Instagram ads. Facebook and Instagram have blocked any PPE advertisements. So we've gone the influencer route, and we're targeting moms and children. That's our demographics, and so we went after influencer moms, and they've been selling a lot of sanitizer for us. And we have a good product. You know, once moms see the sanitizer and they feel it and they touch it, it smells really good. It's not like, you know, a lot of sanitizer in the U.S. smells like tequila. It smells bad. Yeah, and people don't want it. So ours is like kid friendly. Smells like lavender. So, you know, it's just another lucky thing that you kind of hit me and said we need to get into sanitizer. So even that in itself was a journey. Sourcing bottles, sourcing the spray cap, sourcing the chemical, creating labels, creating UPC codes, you know, getting a store on our website. Now we have, you know, tons and tons of sales every day. When my phone rings, it has this like money sound, you know, somebody's buying. So it's like ringing off the hook every day. I'm like, I'm making money. But, you know, even that in itself, creating a new product line and, you know, launching it, branding it, man, no sleep. You know, it's been a journey, and we're a startup company. We're bootstrapping it. We have some investors, but it's basically me and two other part-time people that are running this company right now until, you know, until we explode and I need to hire more people. But I've tried to, you know, do a lean startup and save money while we, you know, take this dream on and get our product lines together. So yeah, the sanitizers come first, and
so was the sanitizer a COVID inspired pivot, or was it before that?
Yeah, so we let me see. So our toilet seat, we make our money on this cartridge. This cartridge goes into our toilet seat.
Yeah.
And it has chemical that cleans the seat. So our chemical maker, formulator, she was like, well, we're selling like 20,000 units a day of sanitizer. I'm like, oh, I need to start selling sanitizer. And it fits really well with our product line. It's, you know, it's a part of what we do. So picked it up, you know, spent some about 4 or 5 weeks with no sleep trying to get everything ready, and we launched it. And it's been really successful. But some of these things, you know, a lot of the shows, and I hear it on podcasts, it has to do with luck. Man, I've been lucky. I've been really lucky. Some of these companies die, and maybe it's 50%, you know, work and me making it happen. But I feel like a lot of luck has come on my side for some reason. Maybe my parents are praying for me every night. Yeah, but the luck has come in, you know. Been fortunate.
Okay, so have you had your company valued?
Yeah, so we're at a $5 million valuation. We raised over $500,000 from local investors. We're going to go to our seed A round here soon once we launch our seats. I've kind of done things strategically. I haven't taken too much money. A lot of these companies, when they pitch, and you know, I've been at all kinds of pitching where like tons and tons of companies are pitching in a day, and I'm one of them. And I come out, you know, best pitch of the day. They love my presentation, they love my product, and our financials always come back because, you know, we don't have real solid financials. But I haven't taken VC money. Because I've been scared of the stories that VC actually crush companies because how they rush companies. Yeah. I've taken money from local investors here in where I live in Summit, Utah. I've taken things slowly because I don't want the professional venture capitalists to come in here and try to run this company. And especially because I've taken some money from my friends, close friends of mine. And, you know, I don't want them pushed aside later on in this journey, which I think would happen if we took VC money. So yeah, we've raised $500,000, and because of our connections and the demand of our seats, yeah, we're valued at $5 million. And once we launch our seats, it's going to skyrocket just because of what's happened with COVID.
Okay, so man, that's an awesome approach. You're looking after your friends who have given you early money. You know, if you got a venture capitalist, they'll probably be the big dog who comes and eats everyone's food. So, what's the projections? What are you aiming for in the next 3 to 5 years? Where do you think the company will head in terms of numbers?
Yeah. So we are geared towards, for the toilet seat in general, we're geared towards airports, stadiums, and gas stations. Here in the U.S., those are high traffic restroom places. And so in 3 to 5 years, we can reach our 100 mil mark easily because we're not a one-time sale. We're a lifetime sale because of our cartridges. We're the razor blade model, right? So we give you the seat for free, but you continually buy the cartridges from us every month, and it's our own special formula, our own special cartridge, and maybe somebody will, you know, try to copy our seat here eventually. But you know, because of our revenue model, yeah, we'll hit the 100 mil mark within 3 to 5 years.
That's smart, man. So you're saying customer lifetime value is going to increase, and you've got that long game because really it's not about the toilet seat, it's about the cartridge and the chemicals that go within it.
Yeah, and when I was thinking about the product, I was thinking, well, you know, how can we make money off of this? And I always, you know, as my job and as an elected official, I always had problems with the photocopier guys, because they're always trying to sell us all this different type of ink and come fix the printer and things like that. So I said, I have to have that model. So I designed the toilet seat exactly that way. I could have designed it differently where all the seats connect to one system and you just dump in, but I went the cartridge route so that, you know, our revenue model could be different. But yeah, it's once we launch our seats, we think it's going to domino. And those are just numbers in the US. We'll go internationally. I'll make a different type of seat. In the US, we have the U-shaped seat. I don't know if they have that in New Zealand or
Yeah, they have
Australia.
both U and the oval.
Oh yeah, okay. And so we'll do a residential seat with different features. But man, I never would have thought I would be in the toilet seat industry thinking of these things. But I'm just a guy that and I've always said this to myself, I can find a way to fix things or find creative ways to fix a problem. So it's not like you know, I've desired, there was a big desire to be in toilet seats. It's like, there's a problem, I think I can fix it. And when I sell this company, I have like many other problems I need to fix. So yeah, we'll see where it happens from there.
So is it an exit strategy of selling up, do you reckon, and then pivoting onto a new one? Do you prefer the startup phase or do you want to go long game?
Yeah, so, you know, I told myself, and I also told my investors that if we're at a point in the company where I think my skills as a CEO have kind of gone, and I need to hire a CEO, you know, it's that time. I'm not the person that will be stubborn and, you know, try to be in control of this company for the lifetime of the company. The idea is that we sell out in 3 to 5 years so we can get our investors their money back. Yeah. But if things go differently and we become very successful and go public, you know, we'll make those decisions when we get to that point. But yeah, we'd like to sell in 3 to 5 years, and there's already companies that are talking about acquisition now. They just want us to launch. So there's some Fortune 500 companies that have reached out and say, oh, what are you guys up to? They're always looking at our website. I can see that on LinkedIn, they're searching me all the time. And they're waiting to see what we do. So
I'm really interested in this influencer marketing and marketing in general. You're really active on the LinkedIn model, the LinkedIn platform.
Yeah.
How's that going for you? And how does the influencer model for the mothers work with the WASHIE sanitizer?
Yeah, sure. So I told some of my friends that, man, I'm going to be the first, if there isn't one, I'm going to be the first Polynesian LinkedIn celebrity out there. I'm trying to make it. I took Gary V's advice on LinkedIn, and I post at least twice a day to find content to post. And we haven't spent much money on marketing because of the connections that I've made on LinkedIn and because people follow my journey. I figured out that people don't want to know about toilet seats. People are not interested in learning more and more about these toilet seats. People are interested in learning about my journey. So through my journey and through all the hardships that I've gone through, I've posted on LinkedIn and, you know, other social media pages, but especially LinkedIn, and the following has come. They have reached out to me, especially some people in high places. It was a company, Squatty Potty, you know, company Squatty Potty. They were a huge Shark Tank company, one of Shark Tank's most successful companies, also in the toilet industry. You know, they reached out to us and wanted a piece of the pie. But I have just been nonstop on LinkedIn, posting once or twice a day, to try to get people to, you know, attract people that want the entrepreneur life. And it's worked. And through that, they've learned more about my products and especially my toilet seat. And so as for the mom influencers, You know, I spent like 2 weeks trying to trick Facebook and Instagram to get my advertising on there. They've stopped all, you know, PPE products from advertising on Facebook and Instagram.
Why is that?
Because there's been so much price gouging.
Yeah.
So, you know, the big companies will come in and just take all the advertising dollars and price gouge, and Facebook put out an article that they don't want their consumers to, you know, be cheated. So they stopped all of it. Face masks, sanitizer, any kind of chemical. Due to COVID, there's no advertising. They block you. So I try to figure out a different way, and so it's clicked, and I'm like, I need to get moms. Moms are the ones that will buy for them and their kids. Our sanitizer is kid friendly. Moms would love the smell, and usually they're the ones that purchase that type of product anyway. So there's a mom influencer in my town. She has probably like 600,000 followers, and I just called her. I said, listen, I got this sanitizer. Will you push it? I'll give you a kickback. I'll give your customers 15% off and give you a kickback. And she's like, sure. And it just started from there. And for a week or two, I was scared to ask. You know, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to ask. I'm just going to go ask her and see what she says. And she was like, yeah, I got you, Rob. You know, I'll do it for you. And she's been selling like crazy. Yeah, so I reached out, and I've been reaching out to like 20 to 30 mom influencers every week, and I've been getting denied. They don't even read my messages, but maybe 2 out of 15 respond. So now we have about 6 influencers on, and they're selling the products, and I'll continue to reach out. The influencers group, their friends are starting to pick up, and yeah, it's kind of like going like wildfire now.
Man, I'm just really impressed by the way that you've gotten around. Yeah, because the algorithm is tough for anyone, but it's obviously, you know, closed down on PPE. Yeah. But you've come up with another solution. You've sidestepped your way around it, and you've come up trumps. But man, what kind of advice would you give for budding entrepreneurs, budding Pacific entrepreneurs?
Advice as towards you know, products or advertising. What do you mean?
Advice about pretty much leaving safety and getting into and being, you know, not being risk averse and jumping into your destiny. You're selling toilet seats. Did you ever think that you would be selling toilet seats?
Yeah.
You're not selling toilet seats, but you're selling toilet seats. Yeah. Man.
Especially like, you know, going into politics, if you're in an elected seat, you know, it's a place where people think of you as, you know, think of you highly, right? And, you know, I always saw myself as, you know, that'll be cool for me to do. And then when I thought about the toilet seat idea, I'm like, man, people are gonna laugh at me. They're gonna be like, what are you doing selling toilet seats? But eventually got over that. And I said, you know what? Business is business. If this seat is gonna make tons of money, I don't care. Business is business. And I feel like, you know, once I am successful with this company, this is the door that opens many doors for me, because, you know, I've taken a idea to a real product and about to launch in real places, and I think it's going to be really successful. So it opens the doors for me, you know. But to you know, our Polynesian people, I think the first thing, and I was talking to a couple of friends about this, who Samoan and Tongan, that we need to get out of the mindset of being a servant or being obedient when in business. And I say this a lot is because we were taught to be so respectful that when we go into our careers, you know, and still keep some of that respect, but I change into this other person that is going to dominate. We'll take over. We'll take over everyone else's business. I'm going to be first. But I think, you know, and maybe it's my generation. I'm almost 40. I'm 39. I was always taught to, you know, hey, go back there, fix the food, and get out of, you know, like stay out of the big people stuff, you know, the important people stuff. Always be respectful. And I keep that, you know, when I'm at home, and I teach my kids that. But when I'm in this concrete jungle, there's no room for that. There's no room for being polite anymore. There's no room to, you know, there's room, you be respectful. People will see that you're an honest person and respectful person. But when it comes to business, it's like killer mode. You kill or be killed. And that's the attitude that I've taken is, and I have to dominate when I'm in business. When I was running for elected official, I have to make sure that people know I'm the man. Like I have to be that confident. We always say, Polynesian people, always be humble, you know, blah, blah, blah. And people will tell you, oh man, you're so good at, you know, rugby, or you're so good at this. It's, oh, no, man, I'm not good. You know, I think I learned that from New Zealand. A lot of New Zealand people are like that. Like, just so humble, you know, and even like you're the best player on the team, you feel like, I'm not. Sometimes, you know, and I'm just talking about business. You know, we still keep that part of the coach, but when it's time to go, it's time to go, and I turn into somebody else to get the job done, and then I'm a different person at home because my wife is like, hey, don't be bringing this stuff home.
Yeah, but isn't it like the rugby kind of analogy that New Zealanders might be able to relate to? Because Michael Jones, you know, that legend Michael Jones, he's the nicest, softest guy off the field. But on the field, that's his business platform. That's his place of work. And he says, man, in a godly way, it's better to give than to receive. So he's going to absolutely smash you. You know, so there's beast mode at work. And this is just you doing it in your sector, in your area of influence. And just like he was doing it for his family and his nation, you're doing it the same. So I love the dominate mentality. I think that we do need a, you know, balance humility and this dominate and this aspirational, ambitious kind of mindset with the values. It's not getting rid of them. It's just placing them in the right order at a different time.
Yeah, I think it's just switching gears, right? When I'm definitely, when I'm with my family or when I'm home in Hawaii, you know, with all my extended family, I mean, yeah, you're back to normal, right? Or when you come out here and people are trying to take your spot, or people are trying to get the same money that you're trying to get, it's you take a back seat and be gone, or you're gonna take that money. So, you know, the past year I've been pitching, and there's tons of companies. You know, they'll line these companies up every 15 minutes, and you have hundreds of investors in the room, and you're up 15 minutes, and once your time's up, get off the stage. You're next. And that's where I learned it. Some of the entrepreneurs up there, they were killers, man. And I had to learn that, or I wasn't gonna get any money. I didn't take any money anyway, but I learned that from other entrepreneurs in the same spot as I am. But I think that's something that I could give advice to is, you know, when we're going into our careers, I mean, still keep our culture. I'm not saying get rid of it. But I'm saying, you know, when it's time to, you know, be promoted, or when it's time to take your supervisor's job, it's time to, you know, dominate in what you do. So
I fully understand, man. I appreciate your sharing, and I appreciate your journey. Just for a different kind of side of Rob Poleki, 3 people that you might invite to dinner, just so we can see, you know, the flavors that you might have, or the influences, or, you know, the things that you might like on a personal level.
Yeah, definitely Gary V. Gary V. So I go to 2 guys. Actually 3. Here's my 3 podcasts. No, actually here's my 2. Here's my 2. Gary V will be at the table. When I need business advice, I'll go search through his videos and look, you know, at his content. Eric, the hip hop preacher, when I need motivation, when I'm down and out, that's my guy. I go to his videos.
What's his last name? Eric. What's his last name?
E.T. Eric Thomas.
Oh, yeah.
E.T. the hip hop preacher. I mean, this guy has been through it all, and now he's really successful, really good motivator. And probably the last person, probably be my grandfather, on my dad's side. Never met him. The things that that I see in pictures and what they went through in Samoa, I'd like to know about my family, and see what they had to go through to make it, in Samoa. So yeah, those three would be have a good steak dinner with,
That's awesome, man. Look, man, I really appreciate it. Your journey is amazing. I've been watching you from LinkedIn, and I was supposed to kick this podcast off early last year, and I had you down as the first dude to interview, actually, because I just loved your ambition and the fact that you're out there hustling. And I've watched the journey of WASHIE over LinkedIn anyway, and I know how it works. I know how your product works because I actually followed you as the person, so I understand how that marketing has been effective. Bro, really proud of you and the things that you've achieved over there in public office, but also in this entrepreneurial space. And I'll have all your links up for us on our show notes. But I really appreciate your time and sharing your story.
No, Andrew, hey, honor is all mine, my friend. Thank you for having me on the show.
Thanks, bro. Cool.